It's time for your local Farm News Week in Review here on AM 960 KLTF. This week in Farm News, the Minnesota Department of Agriculture this week confirmed an emerald ash borer infestation in Scott County. The emerald ash borer was found in an ash tree on private property in the city of Prior Lake. The infested tree was detected through a call to the MDA's Arrest the Pest information phone line. Arrest the Pest allows concerned residents to report suspicious invasive plants and insects like the emerald ash borer. Based on the call, staff was able to visit the site and determine that an ash tree in question was indeed infested with the emerald ash borer. Because of this find, Scott County will be put under an emergency quarantine and eventually join Anoka, Chisago, Dakota, Fillmore, Hennepin, Houston, Olmsted, Ramsey, and Winona counties in a state and federal quarantine. The quarantine is in place to help prevent the emerald ash borer from spreading outside a known infested area. It is designated to limit the movement of any items that may be infested with the emerald ash borer, including ash trees and ash tree limbs, as well as all hardwood firewood. The biggest risk of spreading EAB comes from people unknowingly moving firewood or other ash products harboring larvae. Emerald ash borer larvae kill ash trees by tunneling under the bark and feeding on the part of the tree that moves nutrients up and down the trunk. The invasive insect was first discovered in Minnesota back in 2009. The last county to be quarantined for EAB was Chisago County earlier in August of this year. Minnesota is highly susceptible to the destruction caused by the EAB. The state has approximately 1 billion ash trees, the most of any state in the nation. For more information on emerald ash borer, go to the Minnesota Department of Agriculture's website. The owners of United Suppliers Incorporated and the members of Land O'Lakes Incorporated overwhelmingly approved the merger of the United Suppliers with Land O'Lakes' crop inputs business. The two organizations announced their intent to merge back on June 29th. Under the merger, the Ames, Iowa-based United Suppliers, Inc. will join the Arden Hills-based Land O'Lakes, Inc.'s crop input business. The first step of the merger will be to combine the two companies' seed and crop protection businesses under the Winfield U.S. LLC brand, and a second step will merge the crop nutrient business. In 2014, Winfield had a $4.9 billion in seed and crop protection product sales, and United Suppliers had a $2.6 billion in crop protection, seed, and crop nutrient sales. The closing is anticipated for October of this year. Monsanto this week announced that it was abandoning its effort to buy Swiss agribusiness and chemical maker Syngenta, acknowledging that its $46 billion bid had failed to meet Syngenta's financial expectations. In a release, Monsanto said it continues to believe a combination with Syngenta would have created tremendous value for shareholders of both companies and farmers. The company's most recent merger proposal was delivered on August 18th after an earlier offer back in April was also rejected. Without a basis for constructive engagement from Syngenta, Monsanto will continue to focus on its growth opportunities built on its existing core business to deliver the next wave of transformational solutions for agriculture, this according to the agribusiness giant in a release. St. Louis-based Monsanto, the world's biggest seed maker, has said it wanted to acquire Syngenta to build up its agrochemicals business, which now relies mostly on glyphosate-based herbicides branded as Roundup. According to Monsanto, its latest bid would have left current Syngenta shareholders with about 30% of the new company. The proposal included an offer of 245 Swiss francs, or the equivalent of $258 per share. Monsanto also offered to increase a reverse breakup fee to $3 billion from $2 billion based on the confidence the transaction would close and to provide additional protection from closing risk. That fee would have been paid if Syngenta approved the merger, but Monsanto was unable to obtain necessary global regulatory approvals. Syngenta officials have expressed concerns that the proposed merger would take a substantial amount of time to receive the necessary regulatory approvals in several countries. Shares of the two countries traded in opposite directions on the New York Stock Exchange after the news broke on Wednesday morning. Between 9:20 and 9:50 a.m., Monsanto shares jumped $5.54, or about 6.1%, while Syngenta shares dropped $12.96, or about 16.4%. The Minnesota Department of Agriculture is hoping you make your promise to protect Minnesota's pollinator population by visiting the Minnesota Department of Agriculture's 2015 State Fair exhibit. As part of the agency's ongoing Protect Minnesota Pollinators campaign, fairgoers will receive a free packet of flower seeds to help enhance habitat for bees, butterflies, and other pollinators that are necessary for pollinating crops and other foods. We've had tremendous interest in our Protect Minnesota Pollinators campaign from farmers, community leaders, school teachers, parents, and children, this according to MDA Commissioner Dave Fredrickson. He also says we encourage fairgoers to make their pollinator promise and help protect those species that are vital to agriculture's success. Fair visitors are also invited to participate in the Protect Minnesota Pollinators campaign through social media using the hashtag MNPollinatorHero to inspire others to make their pollinator promise. Special games and activities for children will be featured in the MDA exhibit, as well as more detailed information for farmers and landowners about best management practices for pollinator habitat. Farmer members of the Minnesota Growin' program will also be on hand to answer questions about their food production and farm operations. The MDA State Fair exhibit is located in the North Hall of the Agriculture Horticulture Building at the corner of Underwood and Judson on the fairgrounds. The Minnesota State Fair began on Thursday and runs through Labor Day. Exhibits will be open daily from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. The Morrison County Sheriff's Office responded to an accident at Bethany Lutheran Church in Morrill Township near Foley around 12:20 last Saturday. 67-year-old David Gadatz of Royalton was participating in a tractor event where he was pulling a 55-gallon steel barrel with the front tires. The barrel rolled off to one side and was hit by the tractor's rear tire, causing the side of the tractor to come off the ground. Gadatz fell off the tractor, and after striking the ground, he was run over by the back tires of the tractor. He was airlifted to North Memorial Hospital and was last listed in serious condition. Brian Banig, who recently stepped down as Chief of Staff to Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack, is joining the Biotechnology Industry Organization as Executive Vice President for Bio's Food and Agriculture section. At USDA, Banig also served as Assistant Secretary for Congressional Relations and as Deputy Undersecretary for Marketing and Regulatory Programs. Before joining the department, he was Deputy Staff Director for the Senate Agriculture Committee and Senior Policy Advisor for Senator Patrick Leahy of Vermont. Banig will start at Bio on August 31st. Bio is the world's largest trade organization representing biotechnology companies, academic institutions, state biotechnology centers, and related organizations across the United States and in more than 30 other nations around the world. Changes to the school lunch program mandated by the Healthy, Hunger-Free Kids Act of 2010 are leaving school lunch programs across the country hungry for money, this according to a new study. According to a survey released on Tuesday by the School Nutrition Association, being in accordance with the new mandates such as increased fruits and vegetables, lower sodium levels, and whole grain-rich grains has financially harmed almost 70% of the school districts that were surveyed. Less than 3% of the schools report feeling a financial benefit. In a release, Gene Roney, SNA president, said to keep school nutrition programs financially sustainable for the children they serve, Congress needs to provide more funding and reasonable flexibility under the most stringent rules. School nutrition standards have resulted in many positive changes, but we cannot ignore the repercussions. The financial impact of those rules threatens school meal programs and their efforts to better serve students, she said. Districts are responding to the financial strain by reducing staff, limiting menu variety, holding off on equipment purchases, and even dipping into reserves, this according to the association. In a release, the group called USDA data that estimates states and school districts will have to absorb $1.22 billion in new food, labor, and administrative costs in fiscal year 2015. Despite any financial struggles associated with meeting the new standards, almost 99% of the school districts have implemented the plan or plan to implement at least one of 7 listed initiatives to promote healthier choices to students. However, 58% of survey respondents indicated that participation in school lunch programs is down, and 93% of those responded cited decreased student acceptance of meals as a contributing factor for the decline. Several survey participants said that the healthier food options are of little benefit if students won't eat the meals. One respondent said the new guidelines fail to take into account food quality, flavor, or regional cuisines. Another noted that students are very intolerant of mediocre tasting products brought about by reducing sodium levels and whole grain requirements. One commenter quipped that their school has the healthiest garbage because so many students are taking meals and not eating them. According to the association, the 2015 Nutrition Trends Survey was conducted in June and July of this year with SNA members, netting responses from almost 1,100 district-level school nutrition professionals in 49 states. The typical respondent had 16 years of experience in the school food service profession and represented a diverse mix of school districts with varying enrollment and portions of students receiving free or reduced meals. This morning I'm speaking with Kayla Mock, the 62nd Princess K of the Milky Way. Kayla, what is it like being the newest Princess K of the Milky Way?
It is honestly the most indescribable feeling I've ever felt. When Jenny Haler placed that crown on my head, it was the most surreal moment, and I'm honestly so honored to be representing Minnesota's dairy farm families.
Now, you're from down by Howard Lake in Wright County. Can you give us some background on your family and your family's operation?
So our dairy farm is north of Howard Lake. It's a fourth-generation dairy farm where we milk primarily Holstein. And we also have a few acres of cropland, too. But, our main focus is dairy farming. One of the best things that I love about the farm is being able to wake up every day and work next to my two sisters and my mom, my dad, and my grandpa.
Of course, you are a student over at South Dakota State University studying egg education. How has what you've learned at college helped you communicate to the dairy industry in Minnesota?
I think what's really helped me at college is getting involved and being involved in those different clubs and organizations that the colleges offer, especially my sorority, Sigma Alpha sorority, which is Sisters in Agriculture. So it's just a bunch of young women who are passionate about agriculture, and we learn leadership, communication, and how to properly advocate for agriculture. And I think being a part of that organization definitely benefited me.
Of course, you're sitting in the butter booth with Linda Christensen, who has been doing this for 44 years. What's it like being able to work with somebody who's sort of a legend in Minnesota when it comes to sculpting butter?
It is absolutely amazing. It is so cool to be here and watch Linda carve my likeness into butter. I am so honored to be in here with her.
And of course, you've been spending the days down there, and you'll be down there for all 12 or 13 days in the Minnesota State Fair. What's it been like being able to chat with the other finalists and getting to know them?
That has been my favorite part of being a Princess K of the Milky Way finalist. Those 11 other ladies are honestly some of my newest best friends. We have had so many laughs and memories together in the short amount of time that we've gotten to know each other, and it's so cool that we're all connected through the dairy community.
And of course, with Jenny Haler passing that crown on, what was some of the advice that she gave you during the process and maybe leading up to the coronation last night?
She just really said just to soak it all in and just enjoy every moment of this, because it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and there's only 12 young ladies that get to go through it every single year. So she just really encouraged us to make the most of it, form new relationships with the other finalists, and have a lot of fun at the state fair.
And of course, have you figured out what you're going to do with that butterhead yet, or is that still up in the air?
You know, I'm not sure what I want to do with it yet. I have a couple ideas, but I'm not 100% sure. I do know that I would like to give back in some way, shape, or form with my butterhead.
And of course, you're from down by Howard Lake, which is near the cities. What has it been like sort of teaching about agriculture and the dairy industry specifically in a more urban environment?
That has been one of my favorite parts. Classroom visits are so wonderful. We had to go down to some urban area schools through FFA and 4-H and through the Wright County Dairy Ambassador program and teach kids about the importance of dairy in their diet and about the hardworking dairy farmers. It's so cool to see their faces light up when I teach them about milk and other dairy foods and about how milk comes from a cow and gets to the table in less than 48 hours. It's really cool that they're absorbing all this information and going home and teaching their parents about it.
And you mentioned some of the events that you've been taking part in. What are some of the other events that you took part in as a Wright County Dairy Princess?
Some of the other things that we've done is we've done local parades, we've done classroom visits, served ice cream at local banks, nursing homes, just really anything to get the Wright County Dairy Farmers name out there.
And wrapping up today, Kayla, what is your favorite dairy product?
My favorite dairy food, well, I have two of them, I have to say. Number one, chocolate milk. Number two, SDSU cookies and cream ice cream, because I love SDSU and the Jackrabbits, and that's where cookies and cream ice cream was invented.
And we've been speaking with Kayla Mock, the 62nd Princess K of the Milky Way, a 19-year-old from Howard Lake representing Wright County. She was having her likeness carved in butter. All 12 finalists will have their likenesses carved throughout the days of the fair. The fair runs now through Labor Day. And that concludes this week's local Farm News Week in Review here on AM 960 KLTF. Farm News available 24/7 at fallsradio.com. This is Farm Director Scott Colomb saying, thanks.